Hey guys, Spirit of the Law here. Welcome to part 2 of a free-for-all gold rush that I played. If you haven't seen part 1, maybe check that one out first. Okay, so the last free-for-all that I did and I put up on the channel, I didn't end up finishing after I got taken out, and people were upset and wanted to know how it ended. So this time, I stuck around after the game, and I thought I'd make this part 2 for those people who were interested in how it all pans out. So let's check it out. So we're back, and with me out of the middle, everyone now has access to all of that gold. And the first thing we see is Blue is now directing his attention over to Gray's base. Now if you remember, I want to say me, but it looks like maybe Blue as well were attacking Gray and ended up taking Gray out of the game. Kind of got targeted because he was such a high skill, high rank player. And so Blue's now taking over his base, and we have Teal over here massing up some Hussars, which are going to be a very strong late game unit, although he would still be smart to take a little bit of the gold in the middle. And I'm just checking out everybody's bases now. We do have Purple, and if I'm correct, Purple was Spanish, and so he is also going to be quite strong in the late game. We have a little fight happening here between Red and Teal. I guess Red is kind of pushing out with sort of that trash army that he had. I'm not sure what happened to all the throwing axemen, if they got taken out or if he just sent them back home. Oh, there they are. Right, he's got them in the corner. So he was pushing out maybe towards the center, but not with any villagers, and has, I guess, retreated to try to play things a little bit more defensively, and that was probably my undoing in the last game, was trying to get out there and to take over the center and to just hold the center, and I didn't really focus as much on my base, and I did make myself a pretty big target, and that's what ended up happening. And so we see Blue coming across the map, and he seems to be taking over Gray's base. Of course, like I said, Gray is gone, and so we have players kind of little skirmishes here and there, but I do feel like I'm surprised Red isn't getting more upgrades on those units, but I guess I didn't really check them. And so we have Teal just kind of maybe poking and prodding and looking for a way in. He seems to be targeting Red, and I guess that makes sense because he's the closest person to him. And then we have the Spanish player, of course, moving into the center and sending the army in, I guess doing some scouting. Scouting is good, probably looking for a weakness of where to attack and avoiding those castles there. But Red doing a really good job of getting his base up, but in comes Blue, and Blue's going to be attacking him as well. And he's probably going to feel like he's getting double teamed here, because those units seemed, I'm sure to him, like they were coming in from the same direction, from the north there. Just that mass trebuchet and, of course, mass Japanese trebuchet, and that's going to be really difficult for throwing axemen to deal with. And we'll fight here, but yeah, I'm not totally sure why Teal is focusing on Red. I guess like I said, they're just the closest together. It seems to me though that I should be thinking about the score lead here and looking at the scores and thinking that Blue's probably the biggest threat, although I don't think Teal knows that Blue is here. Unfortunately, I can't look at their line of sight and fog of war, because obviously I'm just watching this game afterwards from, yeah, so this isn't actually from, the game wasn't recorded is what I'm trying to say, so I can't watch it from the actual recorded game, built-in stuff, you know what I'm saying. So we got the fight here, and they seem to be running into each other and then running away from each other, so I can see, oh, and Red getting some nice shots in here against the Hussars, and of course the Hussars are quite cheap. So this isn't necessarily a huge deal if he loses those, although he's just kind of running them into a lot of different units. And in comes Blue in behind. Blue is definitely benefiting from some timing here. And yeah, of course, Red naturally, I would probably be asking this question as well if I had the information that Red did, and it would seem like they're coordinating their attack. But of course, I don't actually think they are. I think Blue's just benefiting from some luck here. And of course, Teal did manage to take out a couple of town centers there. But again, I'm not sure why he's attacking Red. Just kind of softened up Red a little bit. Although I don't know if Red has, I mean, he doesn't have the worst units to fight this off. And actually, I think he's going to do okay, but like those trebuchet shots. But coming in with the flanking, very, very smart coming. So Red is definitely taking this fight. And this is the thing about Blue. And this is what happened when I fought blue is it's like you take out his first wave of halberdiers, you send in your units, you're feeling really great. I mean, here he's got like the perfect unit to take out trebuchets. He's got throwing axemen which do melee damage, and he's got pikes and light cavalry, which are definitely gonna clean those up, right? And so we have sending in some more units as well. So now blue's kind of getting teamed on here by two different players. And you're gonna pack up those trebuchets, of course very easy for Japanese players, just retreat their trebuchets. And now it seems like blue has kind of brought this back. And he does this every time. Like you come in, you take out all of his units, and then there's just a million more there, and they just overwhelm you with numbers. Like, not the best unit choice, obviously, against skirmishers, but he's just such a wall of them. And of course they are Japanese, so they attack much faster. Getting some conversions as well. So we have a couple of players coming in here. We actually had teal and purple, so we have everybody fighting over in this corner, over gray's base. I'm not totally sure why they're all fighting over in this corner. I don't know what purple's doing over there, especially sending just one group of units. Not sure what that's all about. But yeah, just taking a look around the map. No one's really taken over yellow. Yellow, yeah, if you remember, and yeah, wow. Forget yellow. Look at all of those towers, holy cow. Yeah, so yellow, if you remember, never really got a great attack out. It seemed like he was kind of getting ready to attack, and he attacked me in the center, and then right then, maybe through some good timing, maybe through knowing that that was happening, blue attacked him, and he wasn't really able to ever really push or really make his presence felt in the game. We love you, yellow. You're a great guy. You seem like a nice guy. And so again, teal is pushing down in this side, but blue just doesn't care. He's just going to go for red's town. Which is interesting. I guess he figures he's already here. Teal is quite far away. I'm sure blue knows where people are, because he's played a very defensive, very smart game. And I was kind of checking over here. It seems like they're not really attacking each other. And that's, I mean, I guess he's taking out those houses, but just trying to get a sense. And then I was definitely suspecting at this point that teal and purple are being very clever, and they're making a little alliance. Of course, they were like 1600, 1650, and so kind of lower ranked in the game, so it does make sense that they are, of course, teaming up. And here we have red resigning, and that's understandable. He doesn't really have anything that he can fight back against blue here with. So, of course, the only one that could have stopped blue, I felt like, was me there a little while ago, and of course, because red and teal attacked me back at my base, I wasn't able to do that. And then yellow, I tell you guys, it's just, yeah. But, I mean, that being said, maybe I take out blue, and then maybe I'm the one here taking out red, so who knows. It's just a cutthroat kind of game, these free-for-alls. Yeah, so blue is just halberdiering his way through red and expanding out into people's bases a little bit. I was kind of checking that out. And he loves making those mass buildings. I thought that's hilarious. It's making fishing ships. And then, of course, remember, all those towers are firing 4 arrows. All of those towers fire 4 arrows. They're like mini castles. So that's like having 15, 20 castles in your base there. Because they're about half a castle. And surprisingly, the only one in the middle, I don't know, what is teal doing? Why is teal not in there? And so I'm just checking the achievements here. I'm just kind of curious about gold, and if anybody's caught up on gold. So, I mean, I had 32,000. The next highest was blue with 15. So that shows you how much gold I grabbed out of the middle. And I couldn't figure out, because I guess with teal's hussars, you don't really need gold. I mean, I guess that makes sense, but and he's definitely spamming those and skirmishers. So he's pushing blue, and blue doesn't really seem to care about this at this point. I mean, he can make plenty of military buildings wherever he wants, pretty much whenever, so I can see why he's not responding to that. At the same time, he's also being pushed up here at the top. These halberdiers are not going to get very far with that many buildings. You can just see, like, just the mass of blue halberdiers starting to come out. So, you know, you give a player like this that is so good at that mass building thing, you give them a chance, you give them a warning that you're attacking, and they can just put a wall of units out. But that being said, teal's doing a really good job of keeping his army alive, and he does have the numbers. I wouldn't be surprised if he has the largest army on the field at the moment. He's got quite a few skirmishers and quite a few other things. And it's hard to say. This is really where, I don't know if I would resign at this point if I was blue, but being attacked on 2 sides, psychologically it's not great, especially when you feel like they're working together as a team. And if we check it, like, there's really 3 people left. It's really blue and teal, or sorry, teal and purple, and blue's on the other side. Like, that's really all we have left at this point. So maybe I would have been smart just to go down and hide in the bottom, but I do feel like I still would have been a target. I feel like everybody saw both teal and red had attackmen. I feel like they would have kept doing that even if I tried to hide somewhere. But anyway, so good exchange happening here. I would say that teal has the right unit composition here. And blue a little slow to respond to purple up top, but I guess he didn't really care. His eco wasn't being threatened here, and purple managed to take out 2 buildings there, but he'll definitely get cleaned up. Of course, remember that purple is a Spanish, and so he does have bombard towers, and he does also have the middle of the map with the gold as well. And teal, of course, is still pushing down here, although I have to question whether he wouldn't be better off bringing in some trebuchets or some kind of siege here. Could get this cleaned up. Even some rams, like just 5 rams would take these out, and you can move your army elsewhere. And all he's doing right now is giving blue a chance to use all of those buildings, and of course to create massive Japanese halberdiers, which are a great unit. Of course, then we see purple coming in, responding to the halberdiers with the natural pairing of, or with the natural counter of skirmishers. So blue is running into a lot of skirmishers right now. We could say onagers would be a good counter, champions would be a good counter, but of course he's not going to do that. He's just going to keep making halberdiers, because when you're Japanese you just make halberdiers and everything just has a way of working out. So purple taking down that barracks, and you know, it's actually on fire. That's, yeah, I guess if you just have enough spears and you throw it into a stone building, it just lights on fire, guys. That's just what happens. And this is smart, bringing in some bombard cannons. So now blue would have to respond to this, or this is starting to be a serious threat. I do feel like, I'm just checking this, because I feel like people should be taking more out of the middle. He's still only at 13,000. So he's not even at half of what I collected in the game. And it just blows my mind how it's like nobody in this game even cared about the gold in the center. It's just everybody was resigned to the fact that it was going to be a trash war all along. And it's just like, I didn't get that memo, and I went for the gold and it didn't work out. I'm really surprised. I had no idea what was blue doing with trebuchets down there. Like, that's weird. And those end up being destroyed later, and I think he probably just ends up deleting them or something. I have no idea why they're down there or how they even got there. That's weird. Anyway, so teal is actually pushing this, and also purple is pushing this. And you have to be a little bit careful, because even if you're the highest score and you're doing well and you have a good economy, if you're 2 versus 1, you know, they have 600 population room to work with, you have 300, they can pay attention to 2 sides at once. And I'm just checking out, and I'm pretty sure this is in some way coordinated, because I'm not seeing any kind of aggression along their border. So it's definitely turning into a 2 versus 1. And so let's see how blue responds to that. Going, of course, with the mass trebuchet. And even putting in a few skirmishers. Blue, I'm shocked. Skirmishers, it's crazy. That's just not his style. And so, yet again it happens. He sends out his army, it gets taken out. You feel like all the trebuchets are going to be completely destroyed, but he's going to come up with another wave, I'm sure. And coming out with samurai, that's awesome. I love samurai. They're, I don't use them very often. I think in some ways they're a little bit overrated, actually. But, I don't know, they're not a bad alternative to champions. Personally, I would probably still go with champions over samurai. It's quite rare that I would use samurai. And of course I do play Japanese quite a bit, though not so much these days as I used to. But see, like, blue pushes this back. Like, if you go back 1 minute, it seemed like purple was in complete control there. There's nothing but siege, but blue just wall of units. And maybe it's because he plays defensively, and so you have all your buildings right there. But really, really great stuff. And I don't know how, I guess he's getting the gold for the samurai. Yeah, so like I said, he deleted those. That was really weird. I think he's getting the gold for the samurai from relics. I think that's what's happening there. And he is mining the last bit of gold that's in my town. And coming forward, they're leaving those trebuchets undefended. If purple's paying attention here, those trebuchets are going to go down. Still with the elite skirmishers, not totally sure what's going on there. But I think he did take out at least 1 building there, so I guess it's working. And yeah, blue going just a little bit too aggressive, trying to make use of those trebuchets and just take out the buildings. But should really have I think, defended those trebuchets. I don't think he expected purple to have an army right there. And of course, yellow's bombard towers are there firing. I don't know if it's going to be a huge effect, although, oh, don't put your trebuchet too close to those, man. You're going to lose it for free. It's 200 gold. And so somehow blue, again, just keeps a steady stream of units coming in. And teal has officially wrapped up all those buildings. You can see all those patches on the ground where they were military buildings, and they're all gone. And yet, he hasn't really done anything to blue yet. Like, you gotta keep pushing. Like, leave some siege or whatever to kind of clean those up and move forward, because blue seems to have kind of given up on that side. He's going for the middle, and this is good. So teal is pushing out, and he's actually doing some raiding, and that's perfect. You should get those units, send those out, and he probably doesn't know about that corner, but that would be pretty bad if blue lost that. That might inhibit his ability to just mass units. But here we go in, and this is where I've got to start doing this more. And like, those Yasuma towers, like, they're like, look at all the arrows. This is just, I don't know why teal does this, but he does a lot of like scouting with those hussars, and they're a cheap unit, but they are just getting absolutely destroyed. This is like a tower defense. This is so bad. So many arrows, and like, you would never expect that. So that was like 20 units made about halfway through blue's town before they're completely destroyed. And he didn't have to pay any attention. He didn't have to micro anything there. They just do it on their own. That was crazy. And just checking the achievements now. No, I guess I changed my mind. I did keep looking back at the achievements and keep an eye on the gold. And I was trying to figure out where people were getting gold from. I'm sure people are using the market a lot as well. And of course we have those skirmishers. Only getting a third of those skirmishers actually involved. But he very well might take out a second or third military building if blue's not on top of that. And some hand cannoneers, of course, and the bombard cannons. But see, bombard cannons against trebuchets, it's dicey. It's kind of whoever has the bigger mass of them. I wouldn't say one hard counters another. And like those trebuchet volleys, that's just attacking the ground or attacking a unit, and they naturally have enough spread that you end up taking out quite a few once you get those trebuchets involved. Oh yeah, and see, finally, here's teal pushing in on the side. But yeah, once you get those trebuchets involved, you can take out armies that look bigger, and you can clean them up quite convincingly. Like, just the trebuchets alone could definitely clean up those units, except maybe halberdiers if they got close. I love Japanese trebuchets, they're so much fun. They fire so fast, and then you just fire and then you pack up. And it's so quick. They're a lot of fun. I like just watching them. I love this micro like purple, but yeah, that area of kind of that error and that lack of accuracy that they have makes it that much more effective, actually. In fact, I think trebuchets are better when they're not accurate than if they had 100% accuracy. At least in that context of trying to shoot units when you have mass trebuchet. And blue's not really responding to that, which is interesting. I guess he's kind of got something going on at the bottom of the map, it looks like, and that's probably where he's getting his wood from. He doesn't really seem to care about teal, but teal is actually posing a bit of a threat there. And going to be building bombard towers. If it were me, I would have had 10 or 15 of those up a long time ago. But, you know, I'm out of this game and they're not, so maybe I should be taking notes. But yeah, bombard towers are going to be very, very powerful here at preventing the units from coming in, and blue's going to have to come in with the trebuchets. So if you put bombard towers and then you put something else that can take out the trebuchets, like maybe even just a lot of bombard cannons, that's going to be a difficult combination for a Japanese player to deal with. And so many shots, and he's just going to be moving forward with those trebuchets. So just kind of inching the line forward with a wall of trash. And that being said, purple's doing a pretty good job of kind of see the difference in the lines. But here we have teal's actually coming up. And now here's the thing, teal's not going to be able to, with those units, he's not going to be able to take out all the towers. And blue's done such a good job defending his town with towers and castles and that passive kind of defense that you don't really have to pay attention to, and it still works really well, that I don't know if teal is going to be able to push in there, which frees up blue to pay more attention to the middle. That being said, he's got to be pretty low on gold, and if purple could find a way to take out those trebuchets, I don't know how much more. I think it would be difficult for blue to come up with the gold for them. And all those lumberjacks just hidden in there, probably just outside of the line of sight range of those hussars. If those were just regular hussars, they might actually even be able to see them. So yeah, it's kind of nice to mix in a few of those, and I do that when I think of it. And blue is having difficulty with his wood. I feel like he should refresh those lumber camps, and I think he wouldn't run out of wood so much for his farms. And of course, by now everybody's kind of feeling the crunch of wood, and is going to have to start spreading around the map to players that had already been defeated if you want to keep getting wood and keep feeding those farms. And moving forward, see these bombard cannons, like right there, I don't feel like blue would really be moving there with units. So I don't know if these bombard towers are doing all that much, because they just get taken out so quickly by the mass trebuchets. I feel like the bombard towers do more in the middle, protecting the gold and making sure that villagers can't get in. I do feel like blue is pushing purple for sure, and I don't know what purple can do, especially now that blue player has all of the gold in the middle. I don't know if purple has a great response at this point. He's kind of counting on teal. And just taking a look at the achievements. I'm sure I'm looking at economy and looking at trade there. And just taking that. Purple has a lot of trade, or he has a lot of gold, and I think it's from trade. So it seemed like there was, not sure where that trade came from, but it's not happening at the moment. And trying to be sneaky and coming in with the Cavaliers in the back. He must be feeling rich for gold. And teal, man, you gotta go in with some trebuchets here. Like, you gotta be pushing this. I mean, he did a good job taking back a lot of control, and here he does come with the trebuchets. I knew they came at some point there. So he did a good job taking out a lot of map control from blue, but the main stuff like those farms and of course the gold in the middle now, like that's the important stuff, and he should be targeting that. I think it's too hard to find people's lumber camps right now. They'll be scattered all over the place, so you really need to go for the gold in the middle or the person's farms back home. Blue kind of stalled out a little bit in the middle, and I don't know if he's going to see this large army coming, but this doesn't look to me like an army that's going to be able to take out the trebuchets in the middle, but it might distract him while teal does his big push on the left side. And Cavaliers, a good choice for trying to snipe those trebuchets. But yeah, now that blue has gold, if blue didn't have gold, I would say that's a really good choice to try to, like, even using gold units, you've just got to get rid of those trebuchets. But it's at the point now, blue has access to the gold, and taking those out, and purple doesn't have access to gold right now. So trading gold for gold isn't going to end up working out, especially since blue also has the relics, of course. And coming out with these trebuchets, and this is actually a pretty serious threat, because suddenly all of those towers are worth nothing. And teal, of course, has the mass trebuchets, so they're not as good as Japanese trebuchets, but he is going to have the mass there, and it's going to be difficult for blue to respond to that. So blue is definitely going to have to do something here. Although teal's throwing in those units too early. Don't throw them in. Don't lose them to the towers quite yet. Gotta keep going with the trebuchets. Gotta be a little bit more methodical, I think. And taking down a castle, that is a good idea, because that is what blue's going to respond with trebuchets, of course. And going paladin, wow, against mass halberdiers, Japanese halberdiers even, yeah. And of course we can see blue's reaction is massive units created, and also mass trebuchet created faster than you can keep up with. And of course teal also doesn't have units there. And so I feel okay about this paladins in the middle, but it's just so many halberdiers that we can see another 5 or 6 barracks coming up there for blue in the middle. So I think blue has pretty firm control over the middle at the moment still, even with those paladins there. And even fighting back, taking out a surprising number, no chemistry on those shots, I love it. Of course blue taking out teal's trebuchets, even though teal did have quite a critical mass there, and is now putting up, of course, those mass buildings. And this is something that, you know, if you don't already do this, definitely learn from this, that just cover everything in buildings. Those buildings are really cheap, and it creates this ability of yours. Just count them up. I can't remember, it's like 16 or something. different barracks, and you just put them all up and you can just mass up units, and it means you don't really need a standing army everywhere at once. You just have the ability to create an army wherever you are pretty much instantly. Maybe not instantly, but within 2 minutes you can have a decent army anywhere, and it's so much easier than actually having units all over the map. So for Teal there, once those units get cleaned up, I don't know if he has any buildings nearby. And of course this is going to get cleaned up here. He's finally making champions to defend the gold, and all of my palisade walls are probably a huge inconvenience for blue right now. But he's just covering everything in those, and he has taken out those trebuchets. That trebuchet threat is going to be over, and so of course Teal resigns. That is going to mean that purple is probably not going to be able to take this at this point. It would be a pretty epic comeback, and without even gold in the middle, and without any kind of trade that I can actively see happening with Teal, that's going to be, yeah, this is going to be tough, and especially when you have champions coming up against elite skirmishers. Champions aren't so bad against elite skirmishers, they take them out pretty quickly, and so you see the resignation there. So I can't say I was totally surprised by the outcome, because I did know that blue was a very, very strong player, although 2 versus 1 is still pretty impressive, and so many good things that he did right with the defense there, taking advantage of course, the Japanese tower bonuses, and doing a good job of getting around the map and taking a place. And you can see, like here for example, where he has just a lot of barracks ready, like there's just so many military buildings ready everywhere and a ton of villagers everywhere, and doing a really good job of focusing down in areas but not feeling like he has to fight everything at every one place. And that being said, I mean, teal and purple did work well together, and they did coordinate their units and attack at different fronts at the same time. Just take a look at the overall. Obviously blue ended up so many units lost, so many units killed. It's just mass halberdiers will just end up doing that. Of course, teal had the largest army by 227. That's crazy. And most resource guys still had the most gold collected, although blue is catching up once he had the middle there. And that's just from holding the middle for so long. I got so much. And so there's just the times. Pretty much what I expected, although he's really good about the research. And villager high 200 and that relic gold. I did know that he had some relics, so that was good. And lots of castles and stuff. So yeah, crazy. Those games can really go on a long time. They go 2 hours. Don't play too many 2-hour games. And I know that they go on much longer than that, but those are pretty crazy. I should be playing more of those because they're actually a lot of fun, and I should probably be a little bit less aggressive next time. Maybe play a little bit more like blue and being defensive and making sure that I have a lot of passive defense at my base and a lot of military buildings to make that potential for so many units anywhere that you need them at any one time. So he played great. Everybody played great. It was a good game. There's a nice vibe to it. So thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.